This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Rust and Water, a graphic novel about a robot at the bottom of the ocean and a mermaid who becomes his best friend. Available at chasingartwork.bigcartel.com.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
Welcome to Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. We have a free-form episode today with 50% less planning than usual. Welcome, Dan, our producer.
50%.
That hurts.
Try 100%.
That's hurtful.
No, what I'm saying is that usually you plan it very well, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. That was like a compliment. I'm not used to those. And we're also here with long-suffering co-host Justin Curry, who apparently knows what we're going to talk about today.
Well, okay, yeah. I wanted to talk about it is December 2018, and right now there are a ton of big blockbuster or just great movies coming out that kind of affect what we do at conventions. So some of the big ones are Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which just came out like a couple days ago on Friday. Bumblebee's right around the corner. Those are the two I'm really excited about.
Aquaman.
I see what's happening. This episode is really going to be about how trends affect purchasing at shows.
How trends affect purchasing at shows and the pressure that gets put on there. Because just recently, like I was on Instagram yesterday, and every single artist that I know and look up to is doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse fan art right now. It is just flooding my feed, and it's all amazing. And I saw the movie and I loved it, and now there's this kind of building building pressure and obligation that I should be doing something for it as well, and I'm not sure how much of that is me wanting to do it and how much of it is my kind of workplace, like my coworkers are all doing it, so should I be
Are you doing it, Greg? Greg's rummaging around again. But do you want to do it? Are you so inspired by this film that you want to create a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse piece?
Yes.
Okay, then do it.
But then it also... and I think it's mostly me.
Okay,
Your shirt's inside out.
The question is, are these people that you see in your Instagram feeds, are they doing this to jump on the bandwagon and try and get more... Like, are they chasing the trend and trying to gain more attention because it just happens to coincide with this movie?
I think there's a percentage of that,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, of course. And that happens not just in art, but YouTube trends, Gummy versus Real challenge. You guys familiar with that one?
No.
It was a thing last summer, and it was like a whole bunch of different YouTubers did the exact same thing where they take real food and then gummy food, like a real piece of pizza and a gummy piece of pizza. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they make gummy pizza, but it's something that happens all the time. People jump on a bandwagon and just try to milk it and get as much out of it. Now, I'm not saying your friends are doing that, but there's probably a portion of it saying, yeah, Spider-Man's big right now.
Okay, let's call a spade, though. Mm-hmm. They are jumping on the bandwagon.
Well,
right?
Intentionally or not, they are, yes.
No, it is intentional. It's intentional. If a film is relevant and you lean into that relevancy so that you can seem relevant,
get the hits, get the shares,
then
get the
you're
views.
Jumping on the bandwagon. Yeah, absolutely true. I did a Spider-Man piece because of my absolute love of the Spider-Man game that we were playing, and they didn't have the black suit, my favorite suit, so that I went away and I was like, well, if I can't have a black suit Spider-Man the way I like it, I'll just draw it myself.
That's not an option on the game?
Not an option.
There's like a million suits you can get.
Yeah. I feel like that's DLC that's
gotta
coming.
be, yeah. Like, why would you not want that?
Yeah, it's such a famous one.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tied up into the licensing of what it means.
It's all Sony. That game is a Sony PlayStation game,
but
right?
Sony, like the games versus the shows versus the TV, those are all different licensing agreements under different contracts. So, right. I had a sudden and very unflattering feeling about Spider-Verse this morning when I was coming. Like, I'm super excited to see it. Like, I've heard nothing but good things.
Is it very good?
Absolutely true. But you know, there are these there's these wheels of power that turn up at the corporate level, right? It's like why we got Guardians of the Galaxy was a stock move from Marvel to take Z-list characters, and if they could have a movie that made $100 million, it made the IP value of their total portfolio higher. That's why they picked this low thing.
But then that movie
Right.
felt like it didn't have the corporate
Totally true.
fingers in it. Like, and same
Yeah.
with the Spider-Verse.
But
like,
it is and so what I'm saying is, look at Into the Spider-Verse, and we know that movies. I'd love to know how many of those characters that Sony has, it was tied into the license that you must make a movie or a film before X date, or you lose control of this IP.
That's why we got the Andrew Garfield films. I'm sure that's why.
And
I
those
think that's
were
true.
trash that were just pumped out.
Yeah, I hope
But
so.
Spider-Verse does not feel like that at all.
No. Well, you can have a heartfelt. So here's a good thing we could talk about. Can you have a heartfelt, honest, creative team that is following a corporate mandate?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think
I
that's
think that's what Guardians of the Galaxy is.
yeah, right. So you can be both things. We can like stuff and also rail against corporate control. I think that's okay. You can like stuff. I'm gonna go see it. They're getting my money.
So
I
is
bought
there,
10 tickets yesterday for my whole family.
but is there going to be demand now that you guys are kind of in the the downtime between conventions, so you're not going to start up again until maybe February? Will there be a demand for Spider-Man stuff because of this film?
I predict we will see a lot of Into the Spider-Verse fan art in the first couple of conventions. Aquaman, probably not as much. Bumblebee, I suspect as well.
We should also mention that all of these movies are getting pretty good reviews.
Yeah,
like they're
which is
like
great.
it's not. Sometimes it's hit or miss at this time of year, as far as like Christmas. I don't want to call them blockbusters, but there are a few movies, and I think also I should mention. I talked about this on my Star Wars podcast. This is the first time in 5 years that we've not had a Star Wars. Or first time in 4 years that we've not had a Star Wars movie at Christmas
We
time.
kind of needed the break. so-
Yeah, but I think a lot of studios are taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody would be releasing Aquaman right now if there was a Star Wars film in the
Yeah,
theaters?
true.
Right, that's going to be taking in all the money. So it's kind of an open season this time of year.
And the Aquaman trailer looks a fair bit like a Star Wars trailer, the way it's like focusing on ships fighting and like flashy
But
laser
the
blasts.
first
water.
reviews are quite like I was expecting 25 to 35% Rotten Tomatoes score,
Mm-hmm.
and the first scores are in, and it's like 60s to 70s. Like people seem to be enjoying it more than I
C's get degrees. Maybe I will go see that movie.
Plus, there was a preview last night here in Winnipeg, and I knew a few people who went to it and said it was good. So I would trust that more than Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Okay, so as long as we're pontificating about quality and corporate mastership, can a movie, if anyone goes to Aquaman expecting it to be like a fine piece of cinema, I think they've set their expectations too high. I think people going into Aquaman should be going into a movie expecting like a fun, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit
Is that
silly.
just because you don't like the character of Aquaman, or is
No,
that...
what I'm saying is that, right, the same way as if you go and see Superman, right? Like you're hoping that it will be fine cinema, but nobody promised you that in the title of the film.
No, but there is
Right?
a lot of pressure on DC to do well with this one,
Yeah.
because of the so-called failure of the other Batman and Superman movies of
Yeah.
recent times. So, and Suicide Squad. So there's like people.
Yeah.
It should be good, but you're right. I mean, you have to go into any of these films with like low expectations, I think.
But then like the Avengers Infinity War, like I felt like that was a huge, like monumental movie, and just the history of like movies and storytelling, like that many franchises and films all leading up to like that one event and not like falling on its face. Like that was pretty special.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Yeah, so
Just like
there
they do in the
is
comic
kind of
books.
an expectation that like superhero movies can be fairly monumental.
They
They
can
don't-
be.
yeah.
They can be, but it's like, I think that's the exception to the rule. I'd love it to be the rule. I'd like wish everybody took all movies that they made and made them great. But not everyone goes to the movies for the same thing. Like, as much as I want, every film to have some gravitas, if every film did,
They'd all
if
Christmas came every day.
yeah,
it would-
right? Yeah.
That's part of the going back to the Star Wars thing. Part of the thing people, Solo, the last one that came out, which I just watched again yesterday, and I love it. I think it's a great movie, but it didn't do as well because people said we had too much Star Wars too quickly, and so I think that's part of the issue is that you get too many of these things too often, and it loses its gravitas. It loses its special nature because there's so much of it.
Gad, what a bore you are. You no longer amuse me.
I am currently, while we are recording this podcast, also making some art. I was going to make a comment about mass-produced media, and then I was looking down at my light table, my print, and then the drawings that I'm doing, and I'm realizing that I am, like, right now, super meta, making mass-produced commercial art.
What are you doing right now? Tell us what you're doing.
Okay, so the Baby Metal Apocrypha book did well enough that Z2 Comics wanted to do a 12 by 18 hardcover slipcase super edition. They're only printing 500 of them, and
Only
they
for
asked
the hardcore fans.
Yeah, hardcore fans are like, as a, you know, if you saw the one they did for Murder Ballads, it's just like, it feels like an art book more than a graphic novel. And so I feel very fortunate that they are giving my project the same treatment. And they asked that I include, I suggested it actually, I should say, I should do something special for each of those. And we were going to I was going to just sketch in each one real quick. And then time constraints and travel stuff, it was like, well, no, maybe you can do a book plate. And to me, a book plate, dear listener, is just a sticker that you sign and then you ship back to the distributor, and then they stick them in the books. And they're good if you just want a signature, but I don't know, it feels less authentic in some way. So I wanted to do something different. So I suggested that I would do a print, like I do these sort of distress pages. So of this like mythology book that I'm working on. So I did one of these pages without any of the content on it. I just printed them as they are. They're on like, what is this, 60-pound cardstock?
It's a cardstock, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it has like a watercolor kind of wash on it, and then printing and like some weird esoteric symbols on it. And then on top of that, I'm doing a physical smear, like a Rorschach blot of actual ink, like printing ink on that. And then each one of those kind of looks like a weird cloud, nebulous sort of thing. 100%
You start with
unique.
this like almost abstract splash of paint that's different on every single page,
That's
and then
right.
you build the drawing
And
from
then
that.
And then I did 15 drawings, which I have partially in a stack here. I did 15 drawings, which I like sort of riffed out basic forms of shapes. And to draw quickly is tricky because of the math that's involved in drawing, if you're drawing faces anyway. And so I did these sort of templates that would allow me to put a light box underneath this ink splash and then find the right place for where the face or the element would fit in that thing quickly, and then do a drawing on that. And I changed the drawing so that each face is slightly different, but it allows me to move quickly through 500
Because you have to do
illustrations.
500 illustrations in a very short amount of time
That's
to
right.
meet the deadline.
To meet the deadline
It's
for
almost like
prep.
when comic artists draw over their blue lines.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's similar.
You're
It's,
taking-
I'm skipping the blue line step because I can't
Yeah.
remove it. And the trick here is that if you take 500 drawings times 5 minutes per drawing, which is all I can take on the drawing stage, right? That's 40 hours straight of work.
Sure. But you're talking about, but this is not mass produced. This is like each one is individually.
Yeah.
You're crafting these individually, even though you are using, techniques to speed things along. You're still drawing each one.
That's true, I suppose. It's just, I guess this is okay, so here's the question. Where is the dividing line between art and commercial art, and should there be one? Right? I think in
Commercial art means you get paid for it.
well, I wish it were that simple, right? Because then all gallery work would be commercial art.
Well, it is, isn't it?
No, there's a fine distinction. People get very upset. People get very upset at the
That
notion.
made for consumption.
Yeah.
thing.
Whereas I feel like what I'm trying to participate in is the democratization of art, right? Like that, while the book is expensive, this big slipcase edition is expensive. It's like $199, right? You get 3 prints with it. You get a piece of original art with it, and you get a gorgeous, like huge 12 by 18 like volume, like the art printed at the size that it was created.
Is this
at.
the one that you retweeted somebody who did a YouTube video that was
Yeah.
unboxing?
Yes.
Looks really good.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that video and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And she was very excited to get it.
She had like the prototype, right?
Yeah,
Or-
that's right. It was not the actual one. It was like a.
So Callie got the very first one ever made. They sent to her.
Wow.
Because they saw some videos, and they being the people at Amuse and the people at C2 Comics were just so overwhelmed with her like guileless enthusiasm related to the Baby Metal merchandise that she did these unboxing videos for. And, the people at Z2 said, like, we should just send her one of these. And it's like, how can we get it to her the quickest? And so when they were getting their proofs, they actually, as I understand it, the very first proof was not sent to Z2. It was sent to her instead. So
That's
before
crazy.
even I held one or ever saw one or even know that it actually worked, that the whole thing was together, she was opening one on the internet. And it was a really cool thing to watch.
She did a great job, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we send her our stuff?
We should. So I have a secret. Well, it's not a secret if we put it on the podcast. I had a thank you gift I was going to send along to her. Yeah.
Well, let's.
So if you're listening, Baby Metal fans, keep it a secret from her.
What if she's listening?
Well, it's too late then. We really appreciate everything you've done.
I think I just created a work of art.
If you have a fan base that's super engaged, right, and they're asking for more stuff, there's a point at which you can overdo it. And just like now you're printing on lunch boxes and you're making like fruit roll-ups that also have Guardians of the Galaxy on them and just whatever. I feel like that's a bridge too far. But, I guess what I'm saying is that 500 books that are limited with some special attention that, yes, are more expensive, but it's because the labor involved and the cost per unit is so high for us to produce them that we have to do it that way. It's kind of like a way that you can try to give back to your fans a little bit. But then the flip side for me is my confliction is that not everyone can have it. And so
Right, but
you're
not everybody wants
purposely,
it. Not everybody,
it's true, but you're kind of purposely leaving some people out. So I don't know. I'm always, it's like push-pull for me.
The opposite end of that spectrum is then you might have 3,000 books sitting in a warehouse that never get sold because you printed too many.
Yeah, that's true. You could end up with
How
that
do
problem.
how do people get these limited edition books? They have to order it?
So yeah, they're available only through the Z2 Comics website. They have to order it, and there was a few that asked for like special like messages or whatever added into them, so I'm doing that into the art as well.
Wow. That to me sounds like anybody who really wants it will get it.
I guess so,
Like there
yeah.
probably will be some disappointed people who didn't get in there, but there'll be another opportunity for them to get something else at some point. Like you can't worry about those people too much.
You had asked us,
But I do
earlier
worry
in
about
this-
them, Dan.
Don't worry about them. They'll be fine.
It's a part of me that's a teacher that doesn't want to leave anyone behind.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
So, like you had asked us earlier in the studio, both Sam and I, how many things that are we such a big fan of that we will spend like a couple $100 to get that limited edition, that really special item that they're...
Yeah, and without
whoever's-
missing a beat, like I wasn't even finished the question. Sam's like Sailor Moon wands.
Yeah, so
Really?
Sam is a
Okay.
huge Sailor Moon fan and owns some very exclusive, rare Sailor Moon merchandise. Greg, do you have some special limited edition?
Not from fandom. Like, I guess like from archaeology. I have this really expensive Nautilus shell that I just, when I was in my formative years, I was really...
Don't you have some original comic book pages?
Oh, I have plenty. Yeah, I have a whole
Yeah.
bunch of art, but like I have a bunch of original, like I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, so I have a bunch of Star Trek pages that I got, but I more connect the story with it. So I don't go to a show, for example, and go hunting for like Star Trek pages, but it just so happened that the right conversation led to the right person, led to the right thing, and I just sort of was like, oh, well, I guess this was the one I was supposed to get. I'm different than other fans. Well, and here's the thing too. In my misprint youth, I owned a comic store, and I was actively discouraging speculators. Like the one thing, hopefully, that I'm known for in my comic book sales time is that I discourage people from buying special variant covers. I discourage them from buying rare things.
Those are going to be worth a lot someday.
Right, because
You know what? They're not though.
because they aren't, because they're mass produced. So like something that's limited to 500 actually is rare.
Yeah.
Something that they printed 45,000 of, like an alt cover of Spider-Man.
With a special foil.
Yeah, it's
You
not.
guys are reading I'm thinking of the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, the silver. Remember they had the silver when he first went on to Amazing Spider-Man. The silver was it just Spider-Man? I don't remember. It was a new title.
I know which one
think.
you're talking about,
Anyway.
where they printed it on silver and they
The
printed it
silver
on
and gold,
and they
right?
printed
And I had
yeah.
the silver one was the more rare one. I had the silver one, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna." I still read it. I still wanted to read the story, but I kept very good care of that book, and I had a couple comics like that, and then they all got ruined in the flood of '97. But
I lost some stuff in the flood of '97
there was
too.
not like
Let's talk about the flood.
I've since learned that is one of the best-selling comic books of all time, and they're not worth a lot because there's still a ton of them out there.
But here's the real value of anything, right? Anything creative. The real value is what you said. You read it and you liked it. Like
I always was for me was reading the story and that was always first and foremost. I had a friend who collected books who never opened them. He'd keep them in the bag and just
see
put
that
them in.
yeah, I hate that
Like,
idea.
what's the point?
Yeah.
But
But
he had
here's
Lobo #1, never read it.
so let's come around. So both Justin and I are Todd McFarlane fans, I think,
Yeah.
both of his
Oh, yeah.
career and his work.
I am as well.
And if you look at how Marvel, like they leaned into what was selling, right? People are like, wow, this is a runaway success. People really want it. What can we do? What can we give to people that seems like added value? I think at some level in editorial, that was the first question. What can we give that feels like added value? They looked into their distributors and their actual manufacturers, like, hey, we have this gold foil, we have this gold, let's try something, right? The fact that it worked so well created so many imitators, and you
Yes,
got
there was
all
a big
right?
trend of that after that. It was like the mid to late 90s. There
Right,
was a
and
ton
that's
of
that.
variant
You know,
covers.
we literally in comics you call it this the speculation boom, right,
Right.
of the '90s, where everyone was buying up like one comic to read and two or three to put away because they'd be worth something. And if there was two or three to put away, like if it could meet the demand, what no one realized was then it wasn't going to be rare,
Right.
right? If you could buy four when you got there, it's not rare,
Exactly.
right?
Same thing with Star Wars toys. My friend, when the prequels came out, lined up at Toys R Us midnight and bought every single figure for the Phantom Menace. And he had them when I was a friend I used to live with, and he had them all on his wall on display. And I'm like, those are not going to be worth anything because when the original Star Wars film came out, they didn't make very many toys for it. Those are rare. These ones are not. Everybody has those Phantom Menace figures. And I only bought a Darth Maul one because I thought he was cool.
It's irresistible.
So I was having a thought today. I was dropping my kids off at school, and somebody tweeted at me some pretty great stats. Like as a former comics store owner, you would often keep track of the top-selling books. There's a lot of websites that do it. They rank them like in the top 20 for manga, for graphic novels, whatever. And Apocrypha was number 14 on one of these lists.
Nice.
Yeah, huge. Like, and for me as a former comic store owner and orderer and now a comic maker, like to feel that full loop come around and to be ranked among like some pretty legit.
What are the other titles on that list?
I'd have to dig it up.
Is it like Spider-Man and big titles?
But it's like big titles is like Walking Dead and Monstrous
Okay.
and like these other titles are right up there around us. Harper Lee's new To Kill a Mockingbird blew us all out of the water, but okay, the reason I bring this up is it's my most successful in terms of reaching the broadest audience, right? For sheer numbers. But in the long run, whatever money that I make from it, I'm going to spend on stuff on my kids, and we're just going to carry on with life, right? A year from now, it won't affect the bank account the way people think big books do, right? But if I think about myself as a kid picking up that book that I didn't really know what comics were and finding it, those books were mass market books.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The books that reached me, that actually found me where I was in my life, in my dad's barber shop, right? Not like the barber my dad went to. Stack of coverless comics, picking those up. They were X-Men and ROM, right? It was Chris Claremont's big run of X-Men and the original ROM stuff with the Dire Wraith. No covers. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't figure out why these monsters were in all of the books on this stack. Like I didn't understand a crossover event. Like there was this majesty and this magic, and there was, so for me to be inspired to make stuff as a result of that event was not tied to how mass market, how successful, what a big deal it was that they had, 100,000 issues out in circulation. So I started, like, on the drive here, I was thinking about, like, the impact that you as an artist have if you, quote unquote, make it big, right? Or at least have a big distribution for at least one moment. That there is maybe a dozen other people down the line of history who might say, hey, I could do that, right? And if for no other reason, I think maybe that's what all that, that's a good thing that can be taken out of the big corporate machine that gets stuff everywhere.
The distribution gets it to as many people as possible.
Yeah,
and that's
and
the thing.
You can't be what you can't see, right?
Sure.
So, I don't know. However, there's the other part of me that gets really annoyed when, as soon as a title in comic book land hits halfway decent, they have 10 other spin-off titles with less care taken in a lot of instances. Not always, but...
It's like when a big movie comes out and they'd have all those sequels direct to VHS. It's like, okay, we did something really right. Now let's cash in on its good name.
Yeah, it's not just comic books, it's movies, it's TV, spin-off TV shows. Think back to like the 80s when they spin off I'm trying to think of an example. What's a spin-off? Well, Mork and Mindy was a spin-off of Happy Days.
Wait,
that's a good one though.
Is that true?
Yes, of course it is.
Mork and Mindy came out of Happy Days?
Yeah.
Did Mork show up on Happy Days first? You're making that up?
No, I'm not. It's a well-known fact.
I'm
never
Perfect
saw the episode?
Strangers.
No. I'm not ready yet. We can't move past this. Mork and Mindy started in Happy Days?
Yeah, it was a couple episodes where Mork showed up and as an alien. This is again, it's funny because we mentioned Happy Days because the term "jumping the shark" comes from Happy Days, but it was a bit of those gimmicky things they did to try and boost viewership, where they had an alien show up and talk to Richie Cunningham about whatever.
What? I have to find... Okay, it validates my entire argument. Spinoffs are great. I think we should make more.
Not always though, but Justin, you were about to mention Perfect Strangers and
Family Matters.
Yes.
The cop from I forget his name. It's
Reginald Valjean is the name of the actor. I only know because I heard somebody talk. He was also in Die Hard playing the same character.
Playing the same cop.
There was a joke going around that they thought it was the same guy. Like they just made that, except he's in LA and Family Matters is in Chicago. But not all spin-offs are good.
But he got transferred after the Nakatomi incident,
that's right,
I'm sure.
That's right. But from that we get Urkel, which is originally a fringe character.
That's right.
Became super popular.
Became the star of the show.
But pushed it forward. And I don't know that it's always a great decision when they do that kind of stuff. Same with when they bring a kid in, when a sitcom is, in its later years, they bring a new child in to make things more exciting.
And then sometimes it works well. Like if you look at The Walking Dead, whatever you think about how long it's run and whatever, the comic is an incredible achievement. And the fact the show is run so long is an incredible achievement, whether you like zombies or not. But they were very different from the get-go. And there was a bunch of characters that if you read the books, you were like, oh, well, these side characters that don't appear in the books, clearly they're going to murder. They're going to kill all those guys for sure. Because we've never seen them before. They're probably just there to be eaten. And then I think fan response to people, to the cast, the actors themselves filling in those roles so much, it became like a bad idea to get rid of them.
Yeah,
right?
but that I think ultimately hurt the show because one of the things I really enjoyed about it was that anybody could die. That was one of the things we learned.
Anybody can still die.
Good example of that is Breaking Bad. The character of Jesse was supposed to die third episode. Jesse was not supposed to be in that show past like the first big
That's his
drug
like
lord
sidekick
encounter.
or whatever?
Yeah. He was supposed to be killed off like that. First time he gets like beaten within the inch of life. He was actually supposed to be killed, but everybody liked him, so they kept him around.
There's lots of stories like that. Frasier was like that as well on Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frasier was only supposed to be there for like a 6-episode arc and then stick around.
And it goes
How
on
did we
show.
get here? It was my fault.
How we got here was talking about how tangents and spin-offs produce work that people like, and then they want to follow it, and so...
And then we got on a tangent, which
we
is
got
very
on a
meta.
tangent, but we're on topic in that when the audience responds to something, and this comes right back to what you were talking about, when the audience responds to something, and you have the ability to help facilitate that need, right? Is there anything wrong with that? So we're going to see tons of Spider-Verse art on the show floor in comic book land, licensed or unlicensed. It's just all going to be there. And people are going to like it, and they're going to buy it. And what's wrong? I don't know. Is there something wrong with that?
Are you selling out?
Did they get joy?
Some people see it as, okay, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, there is now a pile of gold there, and I can go and grab a little bit and take some of that, or you can see it as a springboard to take it somewhere further.
See, I took it. Now, again, I haven't seen the movie, but I know enough about it to know that it breaks a lot of the rules in how storytelling is done. It puts in a big ensemble cast in a really great way. It gave me a lot of hope that studios will take a risk on different formulas.
It was definitely, a risk. It was a different style and a different, just a different type of movie. And especially after those last two Sony Spider-Man movies, which were just they were going through the motions of making a superhero movie, and no risks were taken. And
I don't know. See, I don't know that they were going through the motions. I think that they had to make those films to fulfill the,
they wanted to keep the license.
They wanted to keep the license. Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire weren't interested in doing anymore.
That's right.
So they decided to reboot it. That was the mistake. The whole idea of rebooting Spider-Man, they should have done if they'd done the animated thing then, that probably would have been a better choice. But maybe they didn't feel confident in an animated feature. This movie is breaking past the typical audience that goes to animated films.
So we're already into the fan fallacy that is a couple of people are making those decisions.
Right. No, I get it.
Right?
More than a couple people.
And it just drives me crazy when, I do it, I'm guilty of it, when the mics are off, of saying why didn't they do this and why didn't they do that, and whatever.
I do that when the mics are on.
Right? But the truth is that hundreds of people, I'm working on a film project right now, and a film dies 1,000 deaths before it gets made. Right? You try again, and when you finally get something that a studio will say, yeah, we'll give you $15 million to work on that, you're just so relieved that you're willing to make some concessions because you're trying to, and this is hundreds of people are being employed by this, and none of them are employed until you finally land it, right? And so there's this notion that somehow everyone gets, someone is just turning the dials at the top, and if only they had made the right decision, everything would be good. That'd be true if there wasn't thousands of market forces at play to how $100 million movie is released.
Yeah, but I do think that there were a few people who decided to make another Spider-Man movie, who said we have to make another movie or else we lose the license. That was the impetus behind that series of films.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Then from there it becomes what kind of Spider-Man movie, who do we cast? Then it filters down into all those other decisions, which brings us the final product.
Well, but you're assuming that the top down happens before the bottom up happens. What you also have is a group of people who are willing to make Spider-Man movies, letting the studios know, throwing their hats in the ring, giving pitches and scripts and concepts. And so you have hundreds of these Spider-Man maybes, right? And then you have a dozen ways in which it can happen. And there's this weird pyramid of choose your own adventure before the one of the ideas at the bottom, the kernel of that, reaches the person that's yes, here's 62 days of shooting and $100 million, go do it. So we're lucky to get anything good, is basically what I'm saying.
Wallopin' whipsnappers. What happened?
I want to get back to something you said about making art for lunchboxes.
Yes.
Justin kind of did that recently for Ant-Man and the Wasp. You made some art, created some art that is an option for somebody to put on a lunchbox.
So
correct?
when Ant-Man and Wasp was about to come out, the first teaser's out, the trailer's coming, people who make lunchboxes, people who make pillowcases, people who make toys, all those manufacturers need official Marvel artwork, approved artwork, to put on their packaging.
Yes.
So Marvel sends out this catalog of basically, here is approved Ant-Man and Wasp art, pick which ones you want, and that's what you can use. And so that's where my artwork ended up. So I still don't really have any idea where it ended up. You
haven't seen anything in this?
No, I still have to ask I'm working with Marvel again now, and I plan on asking them if they have any idea. But I don't even know if they know, because the catalog goes out, and then I'm not sure what happens.
Someone's going to bring you a pillowcase to sign.
I really hope so. Yeah, that'd be great.
But is that no? So you're talking about commercial art. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you've done. It's something that's necessary. It's not like art in the sense of being displayed in a gallery, but it is still art and it's still valuable, and it does provide some joy for people who receive it. I was going to buy my kids a Ant-Man and the Wasp sheet set, we have Star Wars, we have a bunch of different licensed characters. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. They love that stuff.
Yeah, my wife Tara says that people just need a way to vote with their dollars.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're really doing, is you're providing people with a way to say, yes, more of this.
Yeah, and it's a way for you to show your fandom on things. And I mean, if I could have like a king size Star Wars sheet set, I would absolutely do that. They probably do make that. I shouldn't even dismiss that, because I'm sure it is a thing. Or one of those, what's the thing? The Tauntaun zip. Have you seen the Tauntaun sleeping bag where you get inside the Tauntaun and zip it up?
It's like intestines on the inside.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway, that kind of stuff. But I think that it's interesting how this art kind of gets dismissed a lot of the time, because you see it on a packaging or you see it on a thing. It's it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you buy it and give it as a gift, but you don't really think about where that art came from.
Okay, but art is emotion, right? It's when people see something, they feel it right away, they respond to that, and they have an emotional connection to it, and that's what's being sold back to us, right? This nostalgia. Like, I am super excited, like nerd level 11, over the Dark Crystal show that's being done, right?
And did you see the cast?
Yeah, it's incredible. Oh, but it's also somebody realizing that there's a whole bunch of us with really strong emotions around a property that's 40 years old.
Is it that old?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right?
Is it?
I think so.
Something.
Yeah,
I was a kid when it came out, so.
Well, so it's 50 years old now.
I'm going to look it up.
We'll look it up. But the point is that it's a smart business decision to present people more content that they want to consume. It has integrity if the creative team is brought on with love first and profit second, right? Like, everyone should be profit for their work. If you're working hard, you should be paid a fair wage. I don't care if you're flipping burgers or drawing pictures. Like, if you put in 40 hours of work, you should be able to live, right? So I have no trouble with people being paid a fair wage to do stuff like that. In fact, I encourage it, legislators. But the notion that somehow all art should be free, right?
Oh, no, I'm not
Which
saying
is
that.
Like where people go sometimes with art. It's like, oh, well, art has no intrinsic value, so it should be.
You like doing it, so why would you charge me for it?
Yeah, why would you charge me if you like it?
1982 is when that film came out. So 36 years old. Close. You're close.
Close, 40.
So, yeah, but I do remember seeing it as a kid. And the nostalgia has such a great value and is so popular. We have a whole generation of people who grew up on these properties, who grew up on these movies, TV shows, comic books, and now we're adults and we still love these things. And now we have kids who are loving these things because we love these things. So it's really kind of a neat place. So that's why all these things are coming back. It's just whether or not, I guess, they do a good job, in our opinion, on this stuff is kind of the issue. Right?
Okay, and prior to like 2000 forward, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, was there this recycling, this rehashing of nostalgia? Was this a thing that was around? Like,
although I wouldn't know that far back.
Okay, so going back to like the 50s, 60s, 70s, if you look at like trends in the market forces, new content was considered the way you made money. And people who were in sort of positions of power in, publishing and media and whatever it was in print, they would be paid exorbitant sums of money because they were tastemakers. They were people who could be the hit pickers, right? They would find someone and be like, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. And then sometimes it would be, you make a ton of money. It was like in the 80s around when sort of the forces that be realized you could make ancillary monies.
When did all the sequels start?
That's when that started, right? When you started getting sequels to movies. And when we were kids, the idea was that a sequel was never better than the first one.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It was just a cash grab. It was just
right.
passion.
But you would watch it out of sort of some love and loyalty, and you'd laugh, and it would always be like half the budget or a quarter of the budget of the first one, and it would very rarely have the star in it. And if it did, you kind of were like, oh, I'm sorry for that person because they have to be in the sequel.
Actor, actress that just was a lookalike. Yeah.
And now there's more prestige around the idea that something could be a franchise.
It's almost
right?
standard operating procedure to plan for a sequel.
Yeah.
If a movie makes a certain amount of money in the box office, then there'll be a sequel. Regardless of what the story is, regardless of if it needs a sequel.
They almost immediately announce it these days. Like you were saying, Into the Spider-Verse already has announced they want to do a Gwen Stacy based on the success of the opening couple of days. Yeah. They're going to greenlight the next project.
And it's interesting, although there are exceptions to that sequel rule, because we did have Empire Strikes Back, and we did have. Yeah. I mean, Temple of Doom is not seen as good a movie, I don't think, as the first one.
I really like
because
it. Well, I do too, but it's
because it showers the world in racism. Is that why?
It's also it was also the impetus behind creating the PG-13 movie rating, which didn't exist before that. It's because of the heart scene where he tears the heart out of the guy's chest. Yes, it is, but it is also very racist. But those were seen as good movies. Even like The Godfather Part 2 was a good movie. Yeah. So there are good ones, but for every one of those, there's 10 subpar sequels. Jaws 2 comes to mind as being like not a great sequel to an amazing film. Yeah. Even though they had Roy Scheider in it, it was all the cast coming back, but they did not get Steven Spielberg back, and that's what they needed to have that be a good movie. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, and you see those creative teams stick together now. Well, okay, so
and actors stick with the same directors quite often.
Yeah, but it comes back around to this notion of it's hundreds of people who need jobs, who have chosen this as a profession, and so if you can build in a franchisable, model, then now you have a creative team, a studio, like a physical studio, like for doing internal shooting, stuff like that, where all these people can be employed and they can look over the next 5 or 10 years and say, hey, we're making these 5 movies. Everyone has a job. It's like in film, job security is not a thing, right?
No.
So it's feast and famine. And so in a way, it's building some stability into an otherwise difficult to survive system.
The sequel is more stable than new project.
Yeah.
Well, and they do better in box office than most original. That's what I get upset about. Is when I see. I see a great film that has a good premise that doesn't do well in the box office because it's an original.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a great example.
Died in the box office.
That's such a good movie.
Amazing film.
Pacific Rim did okay, but it was like one of the only original concepts to come out that year, 2014, I think. And I love the movie, but it did not do as well as it should have. Mm-hmm. And
now
then
we see
a horrible sequel.
Yeah. Now we see those.
I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting anything, so I enjoyed it. But
now we see all those original ideas, all those original IP land on streaming services.
Yes.
Instead.
Maybe it was better when I couldn't see what I was up against.
How this whole rant started, this whole conversation started with stuff is popular right now, and will it show up in the marketplace as a result, right? And if you make art for people that they want, more power to you, essentially, right?
Do it from a place of love.
Do it from a place
of love. Not from a place of greed, which I think is a really good balance I think we have here in the studio. We don't cash in.
Anytime we've tried, we failed.
Yeah, I've tried that a couple times back in
in full disclosure, there's plenty of times, Dan, where Justin and I have been like, oh, this is a thing that we should try because it seems to be what people want. And if that's our motivation, the work just is not. It's not fulsome, right? And so people they can feel it. And then if we do something like some weird obscure thing that we're just like, like we're going to do some Tremors art and it's going to be incredible.
My favorite one for that. Right? I did Secret of NIMH because I'm a huge fan of the film. And like nobody talks about that film really anymore. But I did the print and brought it out and like it was a resounding success and came from a place of love.
It's the nostalgia. We all remember that movie as kids and so dark and impactful and memorable.
Well, and all my World War Weird work is essentially, it's my own IP because I'm changing the characters enough. But it's essentially fanfic of the good parts of the golden age of comics and horror.
Yeah.
Right? So you just, you put what you love into it and it comes out.
Are you guys going to do some, I know I asked this earlier, but are you going to do some Spider-Man stuff? Spider-Verse stuff?
I would like to, but the idea needs to evolve organically. Yeah. I can't, I feel like a lot of what I'm seeing is just like the easiest answer. Like it's riffing off the movie poster, which is an amazing poster of Spider-Man falling like up into the city. Like it's a gorgeous shot. So it's like it's generic kind of Gwen Stacy art and Miles Morales art. So one idea that I've been toying around with is there's a new character that I'm not familiar.
Spoiler, I have not seen it till
Neither have I.
Thursday.
It's the character with the robotic.
Oh, you didn't know about her, but I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Penny Parker.
I don't know about it.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
spoiler.
there's comics of her. She's got a robotic mech, so I want to do maybe something with
Yeah,
robotic
it's a good
mech.
fit for you.
Yes, of
so it
course.
just
But
fits
okay,
my
so
style,
here's
I
the
like
difference.
character.
So when and I'll just armchair quarterback from across the studio. When I watch Justin come up with a piece, he's not like, "Oh, I'll just do a character drawing of this person because this character is popular."
Right.
Right? It's usually a compositional element. It's like, "Oh, I can make this plus this and this in this situation. We haven't seen that before. Wouldn't that be cool?" Right? To me, that is, when people are having the fan art discussion, I think there's a difference between I just can draw, so I drew Gwen Stacy, and now I want you to buy it, versus I am bringing a new set of skills and composition and elements to a
good
property.
one?
Yeah, see, here we go.
That scene of when Spider-Man tries
No,
to
I
save
haven't
Gwen.
seen it.
No,
Oh.
it's not in the movie. The famous scene
Okay,
of
yes.
Oh,
Spider-Man,
when he reaches down to try and catch her.
and he breaks her neck, but the opposite. And it's a little Peter
I'm
Parker.
sure it's been done.
I'm sure it's been done.
Justin's just thinking, how can I put something big besides something little?
Yeah, big
Yeah.
versus small.
That's
It's
really
Justin.
what it is. What was I going to say? But what you're saying is that Justin wants to put his own unique spin on it, which is what really has gained you the recognition you have. You have a different, you have Iron Man and different, art pieces of art, but you put your own twist into it. That's what
Try to get your
you
own
do.
narrative, your own spin, your own style.
It's not
yeah.
just it's not just a picture. By the way, I think it's fun. Well, the funniest thing to come out of all of this is how many people are surprised that there's more than one type of Spider-Man and that Peter Parker isn't the only Spider-Man.
Right.
That's something that anybody who's followed the comic books knows who Miles Morales is, but people are not aware of that large scale.
Yeah.
I'm just excited they put Peter Porker in there. I love the
Yeah.
Spider-Ham. So you guys got to do some Spider-Ham stuff. And my kids love that part as well. They want to see more. And I used to buy that book when it was
Actually, that
a
golden
comic.
age sensibility with a Spider-Ham, like just all that grit and like, oh yeah,
I love it. I love that they went and did this. So I
could
can't wait
do
to see
that.
the film.
I could do a good Spider-Ham. It would be so dark though.
Spider-Ham with the dark suit, with the black suit.
Oh, a symbiote.
Somebody must have done that.
I'm sure.
Sure.
That's it.
I'm sure. But, oh man.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah. Okay, but this has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made and Spider-Man. Join the fight and make comics.